So it's really rare that I ever get to fly with female pilots. I actually had to drive through a number of states in over 15 hours to finally fly with some at Multi-GPIO. So I'm really excited to just have a conversation with another pilot who is female. So without further ado, could you introduce yourself?
My name is Andrea, and otherwise known as DreaFPV.
And where are you from, and what type of flyer are you?
I'm from Southwest Florida. I'm actually pretty close to DreaFPV in the Sarasota area. And I am primarily a freestyle pilot, but I have been getting into racing lately. I actually just started a racing build, and I'm really excited to get into that.
I, of course, love racing, and I think doing both will make you a better pilot. What attracted me to your social media account was really how much flying you post, because I think a lot of people will post photos but not really show their flying skill, and that's what really attracted me to your page and some of the locations you fly.
I've been flying recently, like abandoned areas and radio towers and places I'm not supposed to go, but it's more exciting that way, you know. I have an area that's like 20 minutes from the house that we call Nuketown, and it's like miles and miles of like an suburban like housing area that they started to build, but they put in all the streets, but they never added any houses. So it's just miles and miles of trees and empty roads, and we do a lot of car chases, and it's just like a big playground. I mean, miles and miles.
I could have used that road last week to do a little practice on. I fly a lot of water on trees and fields, and of course the race course, but I don't get to fly a lot of industrial places, and I really want to do that. So you've kind of inspired me to find some places like that.
It really takes some effort to drive around and kind of find those places, because you can't just Google map it and expect to find it.
I was hoping you could reveal your quad and show some of your quad's components.
She is a bit of a beater. It's a Space One frame, which this is my very first frame, and I've been flying it for over a year now. And I have a DYS board in it. It's the V2 with, and it's loaded with capacitors. You can see I've got a capacitor on each ESC, and those have been on there for almost a year. The same ESCs, the same, you know, capacitors, so they're really holding out. A little bit cracked, you know, on the top plate, but I'm still rocking it.
What cam have you got?
Got a Run Cam Swift 2 Mini with the upgraded, you know, wide angle lens.
What are those motors that you've got there? They look like iFlight motors.
Well, they are Zing motors, and they are my new Goon Squad 2750 kV motors that I just won. I just put these on this morning, and just so that I could show you, because before I had on these little racing motors that were like 2 for $10 from, you know, DreaFPV when they were on sale. So I've been flying those for over a year, and that's actually what won me these motors. And the Goon Squad's really looking out for me.
Oh, those guys are awesome, and Zing motors are sweet. I have some of those.
I just watched a video that Bardwell claimed that these are the best motors out there.
Have you flown it yet with them?
I have not.
Okay, you will have to let us know.
You've got your hand on a button now.
I have a Mobula 7 and I set it up to fly basically as close as I could to my 5-inch, and it's actually a trip.
Since when I first started flying, I was flying whoops and we were racing them and, flying through small gates. So we were flying with stability mode. So, a couple months later, snow melted, sun's out, and I have to fly a 5-inch in acro mode. It was a huge adjustment, but now I still fly my whoops in stability mode, so I'm kind of living in both worlds. Now, I was watching Jesse Perkins lately, flying his whoop, his brushless now, and they fly like a mini quad practically. I more so use stability mode racing, but if I were to freestyle my whoop, I would definitely fly in acro.
That makes more sense. And that's probably why I'm crashing a lot.
Well, keep it up. I know a few people who race their whoops in acro, and I think there could be an advantage once you get good at it,
I wanna get down with you.
What is one piece of gear that you do not currently have that you wish you did have?
Crossfire.
I kind of guessed you might say that.
And I saw that you just got it, so I was like super jealous.
It took a long time to get it. It did. We wanted it last year, but we've been trying to save some money, and you have to decide where it goes. There's so many things to spend it on. Like, we went to IO, but we finally caved. It's hard to be in Maine and not have Crossfire because we have so much water to fly, so many mountains and marshes. So, and I fail-safed in one, and I didn't really want to chance that again. So I think I haven't really put it to use yet. I can't wait to do that, but I think I'm going to be a lot more confident of a flyer.
Definitely want it, because I did the same thing. I fail-safed in a marsh, and it took like 3 hours to find it. I was actually using a FlySky radio, and that's what urged me to upgrade, and I haven't had a problem since.
What are you using now?
I have the QX7.
Oh yeah. Oh, the white one, yeah.
Yeah. Did I show you my little box that my hubby made for me? And it's got like the foam taped down. You see my antennas.
Oh yeah, everything has a spot and is protected.
Yeah, and it's got a lid. It's actually a Tupperware.
Yeah, you have that cool like zombie pilot.
She's a nurse, nurse zombie. So I'm actually a nurse. So that's like the weirdest, best way I could think to represent that.
Pilot who inspires you?
I mean, I have a lot of people that inspire me as far as pilots go. Name a couple people, like especially DreaFPV, and guys like I really like Try Again.
He's a fellow Ovonic and RunCam pilot.
Project Zen, they've been really awesome. I just became a member with them, and they're really supportive and great with advice and anything you need. Bot Grinder, because he teaches you, how to be yourself and that you can fly basically anything.
Yeah, he's a genuine guy. What you see is what you get. So that's what I like about him. Early on, he was doing beers with Bot Grinder, and it was one of his early shows, and I my husband was in the room, and I was like, who is this guy? This show is ridiculous. So he left the room, and I just picked up the phone and called in and started talking to him. We hung out a little bit at I.O. a few years ago, and I'd say we're homies now. There you go, Bob.
I won a Foxier micro camera from him on his live stream on YouTube, and I actually sent him an email right away with my address for him to send it, and he said, okay, I'll, send it out right away. And I didn't hear from him. And time went by, and I still didn't hear from him. I sent him another email, and then I messaged him on Instagram, direct message, and I didn't get anything. So then I started, commenting little, snide comments on his posts, did you forget something? Or, I just kept on, and finally 3 weeks later, he actually sent it. So he's a really nice guy. He felt bad about forgetting and everything, so he sent me a bunch of stickers and a bunch of bot tubes and everything, because I made fun of his bot tubes a lot, but I think that's why he sent them to me. But seriously though, back to your question, you're definitely one of my biggest female inspirations, because, like I said before, you focus your content on your flying, and you're not just there, trying to look pretty, you're actually flying, and I love that because you're a serious pilot. And the connections that you're having in the community and the things that you're doing are just, amazing.
I know, it's quite the trip. It's fun. Yeah. I'm gonna look back on it when I'm in my, 70s, what was I doing those years flying drones?
Right? No, you're still going to be doing it, and it's going to be super advanced by then. You'll just be able to do it with your mind. I know that you have been getting, really big in the community, and just recently you went to Atlanta and flew at Grid Life with Mr. Steele. And what was that about?
Well, I went down there to represent a group of pilots called Skyforce X, and they do anything from, chasing race cars to flying in disaster areas, surveying. They're actually down in Florida for the hurricane. They do some tornado work. So I've kind of hooked up with them a little bit, and we went down to Atlanta to do some grid life flying. Steele typically flies that event, I believe, every year. So it was really awesome that he and Stingy shared the air so I could do something that I never thought I would ever do. And for the first time, nonetheless, it was a little intimidating, I'm not gonna lie, because I had really never chased a car before. I had chased RC cars, I had chased a side-by-side, but never a race car going over 100 miles an hour. So I appreciate them sharing the air with me, and I think I did pretty well. I think they were like, okay, this chick can hang maybe. But the other pilot I was with, Lucas, he's not really well known, but you've got to look him up because he rode in one of the race cars with his FPV gear on and launched his drone and flew the whole track while in the car, chasing himself in another car. So I couldn't even imagine what that would do to your stomach. Steele is friggin' hilarious. He is so funny. Like, his commentary while he flies is on point. A car spins off onto the side and he's like, I'm gonna do an orbit of shame around him. Like, it's so funny and so entertaining.
Does your husband fly?
He's been in RC longer than me, and I would not even be in this if he wasn't. He flew helicopters a little bit, and I picked up a couple of those. Didn't really get into it. But then we saw some videos on YouTube with goggles, and that was like the huge selling point. You can put on the goggles and go anywhere and see things from different perspectives. So we bought each other the Whoops, and the rest is history. But like I said, without him, I would never even be able to do this because I had zero knowledge of building, zero knowledge of tools. I had to learn it all, and now I'm looking at pinouts, soldering flight controllers, updating firmwares, but He's been a great resource, and even going down to Atlanta, he helped me prepare my quads. There was just so much to do. So thank you. It was kind of hard to be without him on that trip.
That's so awesome, yeah, because my hubby flies too, Cheesehead FPV, and he's my best friend, and he is always pushing me and encouraging me to try new and crazy things, and he's my biggest cheerleader and my biggest competition.
I know. I get a little competitive with my husband too. Like, thankfully I've gotten to the point where I'm a better racer than he is, because like we were neck and neck for so long. It's like, you're sleeping on the couch if you beat me.
Your husband ever get jealous of your FPV success?
I think there is a little bit of jealousy here and there, only because he is such a good builder. His builds are so clean, and he's probably had a hand on every one of my quads at some point, helping me with something. So I think like he sees that and his skill building, and I think he wishes he got a little bit more attention for that. But more so proud. He was so proud of me going down to Atlanta and taking that risk and flying with those cars.
All male and female pilots want to know, you have a lot of sponsorships. What's that like to be sponsored?
Overall, it's great. You get to meet a lot of people. I had dinner with the Zur pilots at I.O., so I was sitting at the table with Vanover and Jets on the side, Nurks on the other side, Gap 707, so like slightly starstruck. But you get to meet a lot of people, and like the women at Zur, they're awesome. Carl at Diatone is amazing. Andrea at Flight One. They've all been so helpful. And just being able to kind of try out new gear is so much fun. They'll send you kind of the latest stuff. I know Diatone, I've shown this before, but they've made me this cool frame with my logo on it. So it definitely has some pretty awesome perks.
Do you have any tips for somebody that's looking to be sponsored?
Your content is huge, of course, and I think what I do, like I was saying before, and like you had talked about, is the more flying you post, I think the better off you're gonna be. I think showing that you're really well-rounded and you're not just about taking selfies or pictures of product. So really posting that flying content. There's a place for selfies and stuff. I do it. I know that people like it, but just kind of finding the balance is really important.
I started, posting pictures of my face because I never intended to in the first place and never really felt comfortable doing so. And I think that's, something that I've kind of been trying to push myself to do, because I know people want to see my face, as opposed to just a, blind somebody that's flying. So it puts a little more character, to your whole personality and your whole flight.
I've always been really into photography, so just being careful about the photos you post, staging them. I really love Scarecrow FPV stuff because he takes amazing photos of product. Doing things for the community can make you stand out too, whether it's, participate in discussion panels or sharing. I've done some sharing of the hobby with the public at maker fairs, summer camps, and schools. So just kind of spreading the information, getting it out there, and doing for the community can also set you apart. Staying out of the drama. There's so much FPV drama. I had no idea. I don't even know why. But every Facebook group you're in, there's always some sort of drama. So stay out of it, because I think companies want somebody who's going to represent them in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more people that you connect with, the more opportunities that you'll have, I think. Oh, by the way, do you like my cricket shirt?
That's awesome. I love it. He's so good. All his backwards flying.
Right.
Damn.